It feels so good to finally be so aligned with what I'm doing. Like, that's what it's all about, supposedly, right? But you guys know that that has not always been the case for me. So today I'm actually going to be talking to those of you who are still struggling in your business. If you're doing really well, if you're hitting your goals, you've probably already figured this out, what I'm going to say today. But if you're struggling, listen in. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Angela. Oh, Angela, you were in on the workshop, right? Carol, were you in on the workshop this morning? It was fire. All right, so what we're talking about today is giving my ultimate advice for the struggling entrepreneur, because I get that question all the time. Like, what's your number one piece of advice? If I could only choose one thing to tell you, this is what I'm gonna tell you today. Hey, Melba. Hey, thanks for joining, you guys. Because here's the deal. Like, I did not enjoy riding the struggle bus. I'm done riding the struggle bus. Who's done riding the struggle bus? I mean, it's just not a fun place to be. Like, by no means am I saying like I'm where I want to be, because I have big goals and those goals just keep getting bigger and bigger, and it's not going to, always be easy for me to achieve them. Obviously, like, some days are still tough for me. And I fully expect that that's going to be the case forever. So I'm not telling you that if you take my advice today that you're going to like sail to success with no struggle. But the one thing that has shifted for me is that I don't struggle anymore knowing that I'll make it. Does that make sense? Like, I don't question, like, am I going to make it? That's one struggle that has been lifted off of my shoulders, and being free from that struggle is the best feeling in the world. So Ben says, I am. Angela says, done. Yahoo! Carol, me. Okay, so today, and I hope you guys don't mind, same mindset, Carol. I'm done riding the struggle bus, right? So if you guys don't mind, today's going to be a little bit of story time. You'll like stories. My little boys love stories. And I know I tell like little snippets of my story all the time, but today I hope it's okay for me to share like a little bit longer story. One was one of those ones that I don't really like to tell, because I'm hoping it's going to resonate with some of you. And, I had put this whole thing together for today, and then I just totally scrapped it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just feeling called to tell you this story. Hey, Rhonda. So you guys let me know if you if you guys want to hear a story, okay? Because I think this story is going to illustrate this ultimate advice that I'm going to tell you today. So I want to kind of go back in time, like to back when I was in my corporate job. Hey, Joe. Hey, Antia. Glad you guys could join. So back in my corporate job, like back way, like when I was like an entry level engineer, maybe just brand new out of college, maybe a year or so out of college, like, I was super quiet, you guys. I still am super quiet. Like, I'm a huge introvert, even though now I talk all the time. Like, who here, hey Joe, who's an introvert? We got any introverts in the house? Or maybe you're like shy. I'm not shy anymore. I used to be really like shy, like debilitatingly shy. But I am still an introvert, even though I'm not shy anymore. We got any other introverts in the house? I'd love to hear it. If you guys are an introvert, because like it's a whole different kind of struggle, right? Okay, Carol says, tell my truth and my story. All right, so actually, let me back it up just a little bit further. In college, Angela's an introvert. Okay, good. So maybe you'll resonate with this story. So here I was in college, and I, was out of high school and to get my nuclear engineering degree. And as an introvert, not just an introvert, but like debilitatingly shy, I hated giving presentations. Hated it. Like, it was the worst. Like, really, really hated it. I would do anything to get out of like getting in front of a crowd. And Ben says shy. Say it isn't so. I used to be really, really shy. Anyway, so I had this professor, Dr. Best was his name. And, I once I got into my junior year, he told me one day that he's like, I see something in you and I'm going to push you to be better. And what he really meant, I didn't know it at the time, was that he was going to make me get up in front of people over and over and over again. And I hated that man for it. Like, he would make me get up in front of the class and work problems on the whiteboard, you know, with the marker, and like he would make me do things like solve the diffusion equation. And I love the diffusion equation. I am like a huge nerd. I could solve that thing in my sleep, but you put me in front of a whiteboard with all these people looking at me and I couldn't do it. And he would force me to get up there almost every day. Like almost every day that I had his class, he would force me to get up there. It was horrible. Hey, Chrissy. I'm just telling story time today. So anyways, like I would skip his class. I'm a smart person, smart girl. I could come and take the test and make A's. So I would try to skip his class as often as I could. And then one day he told me that if I skipped one more time, he was going to fail me. And he told me, he's like, I'm doing this to help you. And he told me like, that I had such talent, but I was standing in my own way. And he couldn't figure out why I wasn't pushing myself or realizing what kind of talent I had. And I remember him telling me that. Like I remember standing in his office and he's this big guy and he's like kind of towering over me and he's angry at me. And, here I am. I'm like 5 foot tall, you guys. I'm teeny tiny. And I wasn't scared. But I remember looking at him and just feeling like I wanted to physically hurt him. Like I don't really know that I've very rarely, besides maybe my brother when I was growing up, have I wanted to physically hurt someone. I disliked him with every fiber of my being. But I knew he was telling me the truth because he would have failed me. And I'm a straight A student. I always have been. I wasn't willing to give that up. So I came back to his class every day. I never skipped again. And every day he'd make me get up there on that whiteboard and do something. And it was horrible. And yeah, he sounds amazing. So the worst part so that's not even the worst part that he made me get up there, that he had this bucket and it was full of pencil erasers, like the little tiny erasers. Who knows where you can buy just like pencil erasers. But anyways, he had this big bucket of pencil erasers and he would actually throw them at me. He would throw them at me, like hit me in the head with them anytime like I would say, or anytime I got awkward, which was a lot. And like I would be sweating. It was gross. And I would stutter. And I remember just glaring at him. And it was awful. Like I just remember it. It was so crazy. But anyways, long story short, he ends up making an offer to me to pay for my graduate school. And at the time, I wasn't even sure that I wanted to go to graduate school, and I still really disliked him. But obviously that's not an offer that you pass up, right? He's going to pay for it. And then as soon as he did, he's making me teach his classes. He's making me give presentations at NASA. And it was just hundreds and hundreds of times. And he kept telling me, I'm making you, like, I'm helping you get out of your own way. He kept telling me that. And I hated him, man. But I got really good at it. And I still hated it for a long time. But I was now good at it. Like, I still hated him for probably at least a year or two after I left college. Like, I didn't see how he really was helping me. So, hey, Jeannie? Is it Jeannie? Yeah. Wow, such a nice person. Yeah, he would throw erasers at me. Anyways, but so now I get into the corporate world. So now I'm this entry-level engineer, and I was super quiet. Like I was the one who never spoke up in meetings. Like even when I wanted to, even when somebody said something like that I knew was incorrect, I still wouldn't say anything. And I was getting paid a lot of money for this job, and like I don't know, I just went right back into my shy Melissa, right? And nobody was pushing me, so I just was like, I did my job, I did a good job, but I got right back in my own way. The second he stopped pushing me, I got right back in my own way. And then one day, I won't get into the details, but like I had a big piece of my equipment that I was responsible for. It failed. and it caused the entire plant, this is a nuclear power plant, to shut down. And every day that they were shut down, it cost $1 million. So there was like, you can imagine the hubbub that was going on to get this equipment back up and figure out what happened. And anyways, I had to get up and give a presentation in front of all the big wigs of the company. And I had barely had any time to get it ready. And here I was, like, I was the only woman in the room. I was just a baby. I was just a baby in front of all these grown men, and they're all looking at me like, who is this? Is this person going to get up and talk? And so I get up there and I start talking. And I wasn't nervous. Like, I never skipped a beat because I was good at it. Like, I was good at presenting. Like, it was just, I hadn't been pushed, so I hadn't done it. And I could just still remember, like, all the men in this room, and they're looking at me like, who is this girl? Who is this girl? And after I was done, the VP of the company, he came up to my supervisor and he said, like, we need to talk because Melissa, she's a dark horse. I had no clue that she was that good. Like, where have you been hiding her? And he didn't even know. He's like, I don't know. Who is this Melissa girl? I had no idea that she could get up and do that kind of thing. So it was funny. I remember them saying, like, I was this dark horse. And within 2 months, like, they had me presenting everywhere, like topics that I was good at, topics I didn't know much about. Like, they flew me to France to present I don't even remember what it was. Like, they loved the way, they told me all the time, like, I love the way that you simplify everything, like, in a way that it's just obvious, right? And it was because Dr. Best, that's exactly what he taught me to do. And the VP, hey Mark, hey Jessica, I'm just telling a story. Let me know if this is an interesting story, because I had other content prepared. But anyways, so the VP of this company, he one day he came up to me and he gives me this knife. And I'm like, I know, it's totally weird, a knife. But apparently, like, it's this really rare knife and it was really expensive. And he bought a few of them and he gave them out to people who really inspired him. And he said he was giving me this knife because he knew I would be CEO one day. And I still have the knife in my desk. And I was so moved by it. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, whatever, I ended up leaving that job and going into like a whole new industry. And so I left this job where I was like, had built this reputation of being the dark horse. And so I started this new job. And Quiet Melissa came right back. Like, oh my goodness, it's so funny. It's like how quickly I got right back into my own way. And I didn't fly under the radar quite as long at this new job. And, I ended up giving this presentation for this brand new job, and it ended up like springing this deal. It ended up being like a multi-million-dollar deal. And it was my first month in the job. And I remember my boss's boss, he was almost like literally jumping for joy. Like, he almost like gave me a hug, which was really awkward. But he said, I heard you were good, but I did not see that coming. You have been so quiet since you started here. And then you come out of nowhere like a dark horse. And he said that same phrase. And it was like, I remember like, oh yeah, I was the dark horse. Like, I remember it all came flooding back. And so long story short, like, I was on, they put me on the fast track to the company, and, it was like, that was going to be my destiny. I was the dark horse. I was going to be the CEO, the unlikely success story. And it all comes back to, like, I had learned one of the highest income skills possible, like to make the complicated simple, to present value to my audience in a way that it's like, the pitch seems like the most obvious thing. But I hated Dr. Best. I hated that man. Like, I cursed his name every day. I dreaded going to his class. Like, he made me want to drop out of college. I still remember what it feels like that eraser to ping me on the head. Hey, Rebecca, thanks for joining. You guys talk to me. I'm just telling stories, and it's better if you guys talk to me. So, have you ever had someone like push you like that? Like, he forced me to get uncomfortable. And the kind of sad or strange thing that I still struggle with is like, if he hadn't have forced me to do that, like, would I have ever done it on my own? Like, would I? And you guys know the rest of my story. Like, I ended up leaving that 6-figure job after I had kids because I was, working a lot of hours and blah, 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 blah. But Can you imagine how hard it was for me to walk away from a career like that? Like where I was the dark horse, where people were telling me that I was destined for big things, like the unlikely success story, like the little introverted, shy girl who can give $1 million presentation. Like my identity had become like wrapped up in knowing that I was a success. And it's strange how that happens. Like once you get a taste of success, like it's almost like addicting, and you start to identify yourself with it. And that's how I identified myself. Like that was who I had become, and I liked it. I liked being that dark horse who could come out of nowhere and just take it all down. Okay, good. Carol's listening and Tia's still here. So, okay, I'm not boring you guys with my story. But anyway, so after I left my job, like you can imagine what happened to my ego, because I had an ego. I don't know if that's the best word, but like I certainly had, my identity was wrapped around being like this success story. And then when I came home and I was like trying to work from home, like I couldn't get anything off the ground. Like I felt like a loser. I felt like a total failure. And here I was like questioning myself, like, what did I do? Like, you know, who did I become? And like, why did I throw all of that away? And you know, yeah. And I think like because of that, like that's why I struggled, because here I was again in this place where I wasn't successful and it sucked. And I think that's why I just kept like throwing money at it, because like I wanted that success so bad. I missed it. I didn't recognize myself without it. Like it felt like a failure. Like why can I not make this work? But the funny part is like, even though I really, really wanted it, like so bad, I was hiding. Like I went straight back to hiding, like the Melissa from high school and college who was hiding. Except, I mean, now I was hiding because I didn't have that success. It was like a catch-22, like hiding because I had lost the success that I was used to having. Like it didn't feel good, you guys. And I was thinking to myself, like, why would anyone listen to me? Because I have no results. I'm no one in this online world. Like here I was in the corporate world and I was the dark horse, and here now I have nothing. Like I can't even make enough money to cover my own nanny. Like that was truth. So, here I am. What am I doing? This isn't me. Obviously can't make this work. So instead of like taking action, instead of doing the things that made me uncomfortable, I hid, and I kept hiding in the security of my own self-pity. It was sad, because that's the only place that I understood. Like as miserable as I was, like I stayed hidden there for way, way, way too long. And, the few times that I would actually put some content out there, every now and then, like it wasn't great because my heart wasn't in it, and I wasn't consistent because I felt like a loser. So of course it didn't work. Of course it didn't work. Hi, Uday, that's me. Antia says that's how I feel. Angela says that's how I feel. You guys, this is how I felt. And it was such like a bad place to be, because I'm Melissa, I want to have success. I'm used to having it. And I struggled, you guys. I could not get off the struggle bus. And back in April, I made my huge shift after going through the one funnel away, and it was really uncomfortable, because like getting out here, like even today when I'm talking about my failure, talking about my journey of unsuccess, like it's not fun. Back when I was the dark horse in the corporate world, I would tell you about it all day long. But take away that success, it was like you were taking away part of me, and I didn't like it. So I started telling my story anyways, and even though I hated the idea almost as much as I hated, solving that diffusion equation on the whiteboard, I just started doing it. And I felt like people were going to judge me. I was scared of what they think. I was terrified of failing again. I even went in, you guys, and I went through and I deleted my people from my friends list that, that I thought would be like, oh, she's not successful anymore. And, this is like what I was doing to myself. Anyways, yeah, You feel like you're sinking, you know you don't want to, and you hide. Yes, you hide. And you hide behind it, even though you know that that's what you've got to come out of hiding. Anyways, fast forward a few months, like had a massive shift in my business. And I was doing this interview telling my story, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago I did the interview. And then last week, someone reached out to me. And I'm not going to tell you who it is because I think it's going to be this exciting announcement. So I don't want to ruin the surprise, but I'll just tell you, like, he's pretty big in this online space. Anyways, he reached out to me and he said that he saw my interview. And do you know what he said? He said, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said, "You're very impressive." He's like, "You came out of nowhere like a dark horse." Like dark horse. He actually said the phrase dark horse. Like I'd almost forgotten that term. Like I hadn't thought about it since I left the corporate world. But he said it again. Like I get to be the dark horse again. Like I just when I got that message, I was just so floored that I was like, okay, you know. And the entire point of this very long story that I hope that you're enjoying it at some level. Like the entire point of this story was I was the dark horse all along. But I was standing in my way. And the second that somebody stopped pushing me, I got right back in my own way. Like self-sabotaging over and over and over again. Because I was so caught up in the way I thought things should go. And I was used to having quick success. And when it didn't happen that way for me, like I immediately assumed I was a failure and I quit. Or I started over. Or I cried like a baby. Or I questioned my identity. And I hid. And I had forgotten the lessons from my college days. Like I wasn't a quick success back then. Like all I remembered was the success part. I didn't remember the struggle that came first. Like I had to put in the work even when I dreaded it. Even when I avoided it like the plague, I had to get up there and sweat and tremble and have my hands shake like this so many times before I got good at something. And I hated Dr. Best for what he did to me. I hated him. Like, I don't know if there's a stronger word than hate, but if there is, I probably felt it. Like, I hated him. And he forced me to get uncomfortable because he believed in me. Because he saw the dark horse even when I didn't. And in my corporate career, it wasn't hard because I'd already learned that skill. But when I left the comfort zone and decided to be an entrepreneur, it was like, I went right back to that tiny Melissa from college, like terrified and dreading the uncomfortable again and avoiding it like the plague and hiding and skipping class, right? And I had no one pushing me. I had no one forcing me to do it the way Dr. Best did. And although I didn't give up, I certainly didn't push myself. And it's been like this huge epiphany to me. It's like, we don't always push ourselves. I bought the courses. I hired coaches. I threw money at the problem, but that wasn't uncomfortable. Like buying a course is not uncomfortable. I was avoiding the growing. Like I was standing in my own way. And we do this to ourselves. Like we just keep getting back in our own way. And when my eyes were kind of opened earlier this year, like I realized that nobody was going to hold my feet to the fire like Dr. Best did. I don't know if I could pay someone enough money to hold my feet to the fire the way he did. And if I didn't just do the thing that I had been avoiding for so long, then I was going to stay stuck forever. And it was time for me to hold my own feet to the fire. And that is my ultimate advice for you today. Like if you are struggling, it's to get out of your own way, because I guarantee if you're struggling, then you're in your own way. Even if you don't know it. Like all your excuses, like I don't have time, I don't have money, I'm not good on camera, my story isn't powerful, I don't know what my offer should be. What else do I hear all the time? I'm not techie. I can't tell a story. I hear them all, okay? And all of those excuses are just your mind's way of keeping you hidden in your comfort zone, keeping you on the struggle bus. And the longer you hide, the longer you struggle. So now, like, I'm so thankful for Dr. Best. I'm so thankful for Dr. Best. I wish that I could go back and like thank him. I don't know that I would have ever been the dark horse without him. Maybe someday, but I certainly wouldn't have been as quick. And, you know, I'm so thankful for him. And I wish we could all have that person who would push us the way he pushed us. Like, I wish that I could sit here and throw erasers at you until you hated me the way that he did. He taught me that mastering the uncomfortable is what makes us successful. And the second we are not scared of getting uncomfortable, then that's the time that we can take off. Like, we can grow. And if we stay hidden without the growth, we're going to continue to struggle. So, hey Rachel. Yeah. So I want to hear you guys. I want to hear your confessions. Because this is just saying it out loud, admitting it the way I had to admit it, what is so huge. So let me know. I want to know in the comments, how are you currently self-sabotaging yourself? Like, how are you standing in your own way? And for everyone, it's different. For everyone, okay? Maybe the one funnel away challenge isn't a great fit for you. Maybe you've got another answer. But I know for me, like, going through the one funnel away challenge was just a little bit, like having Dr. Best throwing erasers at me again in college. Like, something compelled me to start getting uncomfortable again, okay? And that second I did, you guys, like, second everything changed. So, you know, when people ask me, like, how I created success so quickly, I can literally answer, I just finally got out of my own way. That's it. I just finally got out of my own way. Like, it's not easy. Like, staying hidden is easy. Getting out of your comfort zone, doing the thing that you're avoiding is not easy, but it is simple. Okay, so do the thing that makes you uncomfortable over and over and over again until it isn't uncomfortable. Like, just master the uncomfortable and take away its power over you. Okay, and if you need someone to throw erasers at you, like, you can come and join me in the one funnel away, because I will see your potential. And if you put in the work, I will hold you accountable. Okay, there is literally no reason that you shouldn't. Like, push yourself. Like, unless you're not ready to come out of hiding. And if that's the case, just admit it. I'm not ready, okay? If you're not ready to stop struggling, you'll continue to struggle. And let's just get off the struggle bus, okay? Let's get off the struggle bus. So my ultimate advice to everyone who is struggling is just to be really honest with yourself today about how you're holding yourself back, okay? Much the same way I held myself back time and time again. And I still, to this day, find myself trying to self-sabotage, trying to get back in my own way. Every time that there's something uncomfortable that comes up, I see myself doing that. But that's human nature, right? But at least I can recognize it. Okay? And I can stop myself, okay? I can be honest with myself and say, this isn't anybody else's fault. This isn't a tech issue. This isn't the fact that I don't have time or money. Like, this is me getting in my own way. And I have this Post-it note now, since last week. Just last week after, you know, I just told you the story. But anyways, after last week, I have this sticky note now on my computer, and you know what it says? Be the dark horse. Be the dark horse. Like, there's no reason. Like, how can you be the dark horse? How can you be the one that surprises everyone and comes out of nowhere and just takes it all? Like the unlikely success story. That's it, you guys. That's the key, is to getting out of your own way. Ute says, tech stuff, afraid of being judged. Yes, it's so real. It's so real. Tears, is that how you say your name? She says, until this weekend, I was just trying to consume info more and more instead of taking action. Yes, perfectionism. Perfectionism is a huge way we self-sabotage. Huge. Yeah, totally. These are all things that, when these things come up, it's just your mind playing a trick on you to keep you hidden, keep you safe. But what you're staying safe from is everything that you want. And it's a huge realization. And Tia says, consistency. I don't have the step-by-step plan. I'm that kind of person. You got to get away from that. You don't have to be that kind of person. I was the shy kind of person. I don't have to be the shy kind of person. You really, it's all about just being really honest and really vulnerable with yourself about where you are, what you need to actually break through the wall that's holding you back. You guys know I'm not huge on mindset stuff. Hey, Layla. I'm not huge on I love showing up and giving like concrete stuff to go work on, step-by-step stuff. I love that stuff. But as I was thinking about this, showing up today and talking to you guys, I was thinking about how it really doesn't do any good. I can give you the step-by-steps, but if your mind isn't in the right place, you're going to continue to tell me it's not working for me. Funnels won't work for my business. I hear all these excuses, and it's just a way that we are self-sabotaging. Okay. So that whole story that I told today, hopefully it resonated with some of you guys. Hopefully, me showing up and telling you that story that I didn't really want to tell you, because it's still kind of embarrassing to me, even though like I am starting to see success again. Like telling that story wasn't fun, but it's just a part of being real, and the more real we are, the less that we allow ourselves to get in the way, because we're just okay with who we are, where we are, what we're doing right now. So Jeannie says, I'm 51 now, at a crossroads in my life. Yeah, I want the next 50 years to be different. The change starts today, I'm telling you. All right, you guys. That's all I wanted to jump on and share with you today, was a little bit or a lot of it. I've been talking 30 minutes. That's not bad for me. About just my ultimate advice. If you're struggling, to find out how you're standing in your own way. And just kind of tell my story to illustrate that we're all the dark horse. We're just waiting for our chance to come out of nowhere and claim everything that we want. We just have to get out of our own way. So I hope that was successful. I hope that was helpful, and helping you realize that success can literally be tomorrow. It happened so fast overnight for me, almost, feels like. But it's because I just finally just got out of my own way. So we're not dead yet. We're not dead yet. We have another day. All right, you guys, I hope that was helpful. I'd love to know, like, if you're brave enough to admit where you are holding yourself back and make some sort of commitment today to get out of your own way and be the success, be the dark horse, perpetual learner. I'm telling you, Vanessa, I threw so much money at my problems last year and never took the action and it was a waste of money. It wasn't a waste of money because the information was bad. It was a waste of money because I was staying hidden behind information instead of getting out in front and actually implementing what I learned. Huge eye-opener. Self-sabotage, perfectionism, constantly being in learning mode. Those are two of the huge reasons that I see so many of us struggling. Myself included, until I actually started implementing what I learned a few months ago. I struggled. I rode the struggle bus. I don't want to ride the struggle bus anymore, you guys. And I want you guys to hold my feet to the fire. I want to hold your feet to the fire. So anyways, that's all I had for you guys. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will talk to you later.